So I wanted to talk to you guys, especially the new flyers, about something important. I've seen multiple posts on it recently, and it makes me a little bit nervous. I'm hearing a lot of people wanting to set their FPV quads to land when they fail safe. I'm here to tell you why that's a bad idea. Hey everybody. Sorry about the delay in the videos. Myself and the better half have spent an overnight locked in a room in the ER. They thought she might be patient zero, long story. In the meantime though, I've been making moves. I've got a whole bunch of new stuff that's getting sent to me to review. I mean, new, yay, ooh, ooh. We'll get on to a whole thing about this here eventually. But the problem is, I need the weather to warm up and for it to stop doing that for just long enough that I can get out there in not a mud puddle, because that sucks. And it's like 10 degrees, mud, and snow outside all the time. I'm just kind of stuck indoors waiting. In the meantime, I did want to talk to you guys about Failsafe and why we set it to drop. So, for you new guys, and some of you not so new in this hobby, we occasionally run into this flying state called Failsafe. Your transmitter loses contact with your quad, and it does what you've told it to do in that situation. Now, this doesn't apply to you guys with your GPS satellite connections and your return to home functions and such. That's a totally different story. These are different quads. But for a bare bones FPV quad, you always want to set it to drop. I've heard people asking about how to set the quad to land safely. Well, the thing is, it's not going to land safely. It's going to hit something, flip upside down, and plummet to the ground in freefall. I already hear the argument, but what if I just set it to angle mode and self-right and spin the motors for a couple of seconds to slow it down? I love this thought process. Sure, if you're absolutely certain of your programming and the location that the quad is when it fail-safes, you can do that. But in reality, we're going 60 miles per hour around buildings and trees and, behind basketball hoops and metal poles and with these things blocking our line of sight. Firstly, are you absolutely certain your programming is 110% correct? That it will cease all lateral movement, right itself, and slow its descent? If you miss one step in that process, say it doesn't right, suddenly you're shooting it off into outer space in a totally different direction as soon as you lose control. The thing could take off like a rocket or turn upside down and eat dirt for however long you told those props to spin. But let's play out a scenario. You're in a local park, you're by yourself when you take off, all's well and good. You fly behind a big old gazebo, the ones with like the 20 benches in it and maybe the grill on the side, that kind of thing, and you lose signal. You have everything programmed correctly. It flips back upright, spin those props at 1300 RPM and head towards the ground. Now, what you didn't know was there was a jogger that came around the side of that building once you fail safe. Say you had a blip in video or something, or you're not facing that direction. You didn't know that jogger was there. And your quad hits the top of the gazebo and turns sideways. Now, in its effort to right itself, it shoots off towards that jogger. And the props are still spinning at 1300 RPM, and it hits that jogger in the face, with the prop spinning at 1300 RPM still, because that's what you programmed it to do. 2 tri-blades for, say, half a second against a person's face. You do the math, it's right about 64 blade strikes, because these motors don't stall out when they hit something. Now, let's play out another scenario. Same thing, only that jogger knows that you're flying around and being careful, but the dog they brought with them doesn't. You're fail-safe in an open field this time, and it does stop all its lateral movement, and the dog decides it's a frisbee. It jumps up, it catches the hovering thing in its mouth. What happens to that dog's mouth? What happens in these scenarios when the quad just drops out of the sky? Yeah, sure, worst case scenario, maybe you hit the jogger still. You give them a bump or a bruise, or it falls nearby and they go, ah, and that's okay. The dog may get a hold of your quad and treat it like a chew toy for a minute. But you know what doesn't happen? An emergency room trip. And none of this accounts for other kinds of fail-safe, long range, building dives, high heights, etc. As a general rule, you just don't want those props spinning when you're not in control of that quad, when you're not in control of those props. Very, very bad things could happen. So be smart and set your quad's fail-safe to drop. I didn't mean to get all preachy or anything like that. I've just seen a lot of people talking about their new quads that they just bought with their tax return, these first-time flyers and everything, talking about how they want to set their quads to land safely. And I felt like we needed to make this video in order to get out that these things don't land safely, that's not part of this game. But that's all I got for now. So if you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave me a like down below. And if you want to see my videos as they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button over there somewhere. That'll help me out a lot too. But that's all I have to say, so I'll see all you guys and gals on the flip side. Hopefully it stops snowing.